How you doing, YouTube? Mountain Mess of Beer Reviews, back with yet another review. And yeah, it's about to get fucking serious time in the form of Foundation Brewing's Mortimer. Why is it about to get serious? Because I'm doing a review, son. I do reviews. Who the fuck am I? I'm this guy who talks into a blank camera by himself and just talks about beer. But there's, I feel like I know a couple things here and there, but I think I know a couple things more, or I'm a little bit well versed in specific things beer wise than I might be in other avenues. I couldn't really talk to you really super in depth about Roche beers, any smoke beers. Not my favorite beer. I don't drink a ton of them, so for me to sit down and break down those beers, I think I do a decent job, but I really wouldn't bring much to the table. There's a couple beers that fall in that line. Now, there's the opposite end of the spectrum. That's where we're at today. This is a stock ale, an old stock ale. That's my jams. So when you're talking about an old ale, a stock ale, Asian barrels, you're in fucking massive beer reviews land now. So hopefully this fucker shows and proves. As far as what it says on the label, it says here, Foundation Brewing Company, Mortimer. Stock ale. It says here, Mortimer is a tribute to stock ales. Strong brews aged in barrels develop rich and complex flavors. A long slumber matures the beer, developing cherry and dark fruit flavors that meld the cacao and soft vanilla notes from the oak and malts. A soft acidity cleans the palate, inviting you back. The soft acidity thing, that kind of bothers me. Not bothers me, worries me a little bit. There shouldn't be much of acidity in a stock ale. To me, that what's the word I'm looking for? Like trying to thought, gives the nod or the illusion that it might have a little bit of sour going on in it. If that's the case, shouldn't be there. So hopefully that's not the case. Label is cool. Essentially, Foundation's labels are the same over and over again, just a little bit variants. Their bottles are run pretty much the same way. But I dig it. I like the art design. I like everything about it. So, let's see. Hopefully this doesn't explode on me. Well, it does have a little bit of life to it. It's not going to explode, but it's rising a little bit. I'm usually poor by now. I just want to see the whole, acidity cleansing the palate thing kind of worries me a little bit. So, and that worries me a little bit too. You're talking about a barrel-aged stock ale. Should not have a head like that. Can it? Sure. If it tastes good, who gives a fuck? But when you're talking about something having a slight acidity to it, you talk about it being a little bit lively in the bottle. Let's pour that all the way to the top like that and see how long that head takes to kind of kill off. When you talk about a head receding that quickly, again, assumptions can be wrong, but typically you're talking about something that has a bit of sourness to it. Your stock ale should not have that. So you're talking about almost 4 fingers, big glass, tall glass, so it's got a long drop to the bottom, so it's going to generate a bigger head. But you're talking about 4 fingers. What I like my coffee to look like, colored head. That was creamy. Now it's kind of dying down to rockiness because the head is just dissipating super fucking fast. I mean, heads rarely crumble that fast on a big malty beer like that. So, in barrel-wise, did they actually sit there and they talk about it? They said it was a barrel-aged. This is actually give you the barrel that it went into. Let's see, this is bottled February 7th, 2016, so it's a bit over a month old. It just says age in barrels, so we don't even know if it's spirit barreled or just barreled in general. So, yeah. Almost completely gone. So, yeah, give it a twirl. That be that. So, color-wise, nice color to it. Exactly what a stock ale should be, especially if it's aged. Big, rich, deep mahogany color. Reddish, brownish, like super density to it. So, let's see if we can get a nose on this one. It smells beautiful, though. It smells beautiful. It smells exactly what I want in a stock ale, especially when it has a bit of time on it, whether it be from barreling or not. Getting rich caramels and toffees that are kind of melted down and drizzled over really ripened dark cherries. Oh, That's the fucking good stuff right there. That is what I want. That is exactly what I want in a stock ale. Getting rich, kind of like if you say this is actually a spirit, if it's a spirited barreled beer, and they're not saying it is, if you held a gun to my head, I'd say brandy. Brandy. Oh my god. Toffee and caramel heaven. Toffee and caramel heaven. It's like a sugar daddy wrapped in fucking, cherry cordial that just got invited to a fucking filthy orgy. That's kind of what's going on in this one. Oh, I could huff this all day. But there is a tinge of, I don't want to say sour, but that acidity, that tartness. Again, she looked the part of being acidic. She doesn't really smell the part, but there's a tinge of it there. So I'm super excited to see what's inside here. I'm just going to dive in and see what she's got. Cherry cordial orgy time. Cheers. It doesn't suck. It does not suck. And they're spot on with that fucking note. There is this kind of acidity to it. It's not sour. And you would figure it's bottled, it's over a month old. It's spent time in barrels. If it's going to get sour, it's already would have gotten sour. I don't know where they're getting that acidity from. I don't know. Unless it's coming from the barrel. Unless it's not brandy, but it's some really deep, rich, dark, old school, maybe like second use wine barrel, to where you're just getting a little bit of that kind of vinousness in there to kind of give you a little bit of acidity, but you're not getting a ton of wine in it. Or conversely, it's a same thing, but the wine isn't overtly powerful to where this big of a beer, and it is a big beer. I don't know if I mentioned the ABV on it. It is 12.5% alcohol by volume. It could be that, where it's kind of battling back that vinousness, because I am getting kind of that little bit of kind of wine acidity to it. But yeah, that does not suck. And that acidity kind of brightens the beer up. It's a big beer. It's a dense beer. I mean, all the things I talked about, from the toffee to the caramel, to the chocolate, to the cherries, to the orgies, they're all very dense things. They're meaty, dense, sweaty things that are hefty. So when you drink a beer like this, you typically it's a meal in itself. It's so dense. It's dessert to the nth degree. When you throw that little bit of acidity on there, it just cleanses everything off and just makes it a little bit lighter, a little bit more. Have a little bit more pep and step than it should at such a big beer and the kind of flavor that it's giving. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now, whoever wrote this description, kudos to you, because this is fucking, descriptions, I just kind of read them because they're there. I don't put much stock into them. But when I'm drinking a beer, I'm thinking about it, just out of pure, habit of going, okay, do I agree with any of this? This is fucking spot on, because it says here, it goes into flavors, yada yada. It's talking about developing cherry and dark fruits, flavors and melon and cacao and soft vanilla notes from an oak and malts, and a soft acidity cleans the palate. I mean, that is spot on as far as the tasting notes go in it. And it's something to be said for that, because I like to go in a beer not knowing what it is. I mean, I love my whole mystery beer series and all kinds of stuff like that. But for most people, they want to know what they're buying, and a lot of times you get a lot of descriptions about beer that don't land. You have a lot of beers that say they're a beer, but they're not that beer. This beer is exactly what it's supposed to be, sans that acidity, which shouldn't be there, but it is, and they mention it in the label, which is fucking cool. And if I knew for a fact that acidity was there, I might not have bought this beer. But now that I'm having it and drinking it, it kind of makes sense. Now I'm happy I did. So yeah, the thing that I wished wasn't there and was hesitant when I went to review it ended up being a positive in the end, which is fucking beer as a whole. This is beer in general. That's fucking delicious. You make this beer, you're A-okay in my book. So yeah, let's make this review even longer. Recap. Toffee, caramels, cherry, chocolate, orgies. Delicious and all wrapped in there with a nice acidity, kind of prop it up in the end and make you not think you're eating something horrible or drinking something horrible, and just enough to where, while it does linger and I do have this kind of rich kind of sugar daddy thing going on in my mouth afterwards, I still want to have more sips of it. It still makes me want a little bit more. So let's talk about it. It's one of the better. If I go old ales or old stock ales, I mean, how many have I had? It's definitely in that category. But let's go English-based beers, malt-based beers. Let's go that. Let's go that generic. Barrel-aged malt forward beers. It's one of the better ones I've had as of late. Yes. For me, it just works. You're talking about a person that covets North Coast Old Stock, J.W. Lee's, Hair of the Dog, Coonan, Thomas Hardy. That is where this beer lands. It just kind of, it's an homage to those, but it's its own thing with that little bit of acidity. So it brings the old to the table in a proper way. At the same time, it brings a little bit of its own identity along with it, which is fucking fantastic. Value and availability, I have no idea. I think it was $13 a bottle. It sucks because it's one of those kooky, weird 375, 500 milliliter, I don't know. Yeah, 5 ml bottles. You know what? Fuck it. I don't care. It's delicious. Buy it. Availability, I think they're just shelf-turning the shit out of the fucking brewery. This came out bottled on February, whatever, 7th or 8th, and I was there a month later and I'm still there, so motherfuckers, buy this shit. It's delicious. And just leave it with if you like what we like this. Basically what I said in the beginning of this little rant. Old Stock, Hardy, Lee's, Hair of the Dog, with their old ales, tune in with a lot of the beers they do. If you like those beers, you will love this beer, because that is what this beer is like. I don't want to say that's what this beer is, because it deserves more than that, and it's fucking delicious. So there you go, another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. If you didn't, anywhere in between, please leave a comment in the comment section below, like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Untapped, massive beers in all 4 of those places, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice stock ale right now, and hope to see you next time. Cheers.